So I sent you an Instagram reel.
But all of the really big companies have invented a new way to access information or a new way to do something that didn't require that full cycle and all the time that is required. So many people talk to me about their new ideas, and I'm sure there are many of them represented here in the room. And the problem is they're good, but they're not good enough. And so the specific question I would say is do a plan over the next 5 years, and I always like to do 5-year plans, and try to figure out what your growth rate will be like, and then try to figure out what a more scalable strategy would be. So typical example is somebody will build some interesting app that they want to charge $10 for. And so I will ask, well, why couldn't you give the app away for free and then upsell the users? And everybody here understands that strategy. I'll give you another example. I'm quite convinced I know what the platforms will look like in 5 years. I can't tell you what the great companies will be like, but I'll describe it that 5 years ago I said publicly that the future will be apps that are on smartphones that use Google Maps, GPS, and do something useful. Now, what I should have said was Uber, right? But I wasn't smart enough to say, well, people actually want a personal transportation system. That was up for Travis and his co-founder to invent in Paris when they were visiting. So what do I think 5 years from now we'll be talking about? I think we'll be talking about systems that use Android and iOS, fast networks, powerful machine learning, but they're going to do something else. They're going to use the crowd to learn something. I'll give you a trivial example. I know nothing about dermatology, and I have $1 million. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run around to dermatologists. I'm going to pay them $1 to categorize skin samples with whatever the dermatological problem is. Put that in my machine learning system, run it through the system, have it do a categorization, and then I'm going to go and sell the same service to dermatologists because my system will be more accurate than the individual dermatological diagnoses. So that model, which is you crowdsource information in, you learn it, and then you sell it, is in my view a highly likely candidate for the next $100 billion corporations. I'm not suggesting it would be Alphabet or Uber or Facebook, but if I were starting a company, I'd start with that premise today. How can I use this concept of scalability and get my users to teach me? Right? So if your users teach me and then I can sell to them or others a service which is better than their knowledge, it's a win for everybody.
I sent that to you and I just said Modus. And then you asked me, you said, which of this is Modus? Because upon review, there are definitely components that are not exactly aligned with Modus. There's a lot of like big business, no ethos components to that. But I thought where it related to Modus was in the scalability question, because what we've been able to do is take bookkeeping and make it scalable for the little guy. We've found a thing that wasn't scaled, and now we're scaling it so that it can be applied to everybody. And that was the piece that I thought aligned most with Modus.
Where I disagree with him is he said, if you come up with one novel or clever element, then blow the roof off of it and scale, right? Design it for scale and run it up.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did wasn't take bookkeeping and make it scalable. We took bookkeeping and made it way better and then made it scalable. Like
Sure.
there has to be a chasm in value that you create, in my opinion, right? And this is what happens. It's easier now than ever to start a business, do some online marketing, right? And like get in everybody's inbox and all that stuff. And I see too many people scaling C+ offerings and not working it up to an A+. And you and I spent time in the kitchen cooking for months, getting this to an A+. Like if we bring this to our first couple customers and they're not like, holy shit, this is the best bookkeeping, then we don't scale it. We wait until we have A+ to scale it. And that's what I would say to the people listening to that lecture. Get to A+ and then listen to that guy.